I somehow developed the creative concept to sell 3D models of jewelry.
And we realized we could generate a steady income,
The most difficult and stressful job I've ever had.
some kind of nightmare. Why it is not advisable to list and sell 3D models on Etsy. And I was amazed at how fast it happens.
Those were some guys from Cuba, from Latin.
It was a whole special operation.
Low effort AI garbage.
Already brought me thousands and thousands of dollars in return. Dima, let's just take a moment to look back at how it all really started. I mean, just look, we used to spend our time making jewelry prototypes together, didn't we? So, it was a studio with equipment, 3D printers, and CNC milling machines. And 3D modelers were positioned together in a row. And we made custom models for local jewelers. It was a completely offline local business. Then came a point when 3D model stock marketplaces appeared. And we realized we could generate a steady income not just by making custom items, but by making items for general sale. This allowed us to express ourselves creatively, being free to choose any theme or design, and at the same time securing a quite substantial and consistent, well, passive income. So, how do you remember it now? How did that entire journey first begin for you?
Well, if I look back at how it all began for me, it probably didn't actually start with making sales on stock sites and marketplaces. Instead, it really kicked off with my very first professional experience doing online jewelry 3D modeling for clients on the Upwork platform. That was where I truly learned the ropes of the industry. And so,
Upwork,
freelance.
nowadays they're a total anachronism. No one really...
Well, nevertheless, a substantial number of dedicated people are still there and continue to earn a very steady and reliable income, so it definitely still makes a great deal of sense, but it's considerably more difficult and competitive to get in now, and in my opinion, there's probably a lot less fresh and organic traffic currently coming in. I mean...
And there is a lack of fresh traffic, along with outdated principles of working with freelancers. I mean, just think about how hard it is for a freelancer to register, get noticed, and actually get an order, right? You have to bargain, constantly undercut your own prices. It's some kind of nightmare.
Well, when it comes to the process of getting orders and managing all of that, there are certainly various promotion techniques you could use. But overall, if we look at it more broadly, it is probably much easier for a beginning freelancer to start out on a marketplace with the option to take on custom orders, you know, working on them as individual projects for clients.
Yeah, there's a constant flow of orders there.
Yes, custom flow orders.
If you're a good modeler, then...
Absolutely, of course. If you have a portfolio, which could be your online shop where you sell your models, and people really like your style, your presentation, your execution, and the technical solutions, well, they will appreciate all the possible components involved.
Basically, I understand that people see...
Yes, it's the easiest way to get a client on platforms like that.
You will attract specific clients based on your unique skills and personal style. Typically, a client looking for a particular gothic biker design will browse through the stock shop for high-quality models that match that exact vibe. They will then likely return to that same talented modeler for their future needs. Therefore, if you choose to specialize in biker themes, you will find yourself receiving relevant orders much more frequently, ensuring you consistently get the right kind of work for your professional expertise. If you do orthodox themes, people will come to you, well, people see your work and want something similar. So, roughly speaking, this is often a problem, for example, when you make custom models while working at a studio. I had that same problem too. Modelers often don't like the orders they're given, and I had to find ways to approach them, convince them of the idea, swap them out, or do some kind of rotation. Because when you work for a studio or on commission, you can't just simply do what you like in your own unique artistic style. Often someone likes drawing orthodox crosses, but then someone comes along and orders... Imagine a particularly intricate and complex multi-stone piece, you know, with a detailed pave setting, and he's completely stuck and frustrated, but he has to do it. But if you set up your own shop focused on one theme, consistently following along in your own style, then you'll likely get orders in that same style. So roughly speaking, in our shop, the orders we receive are mostly perfectly identical to the models on display.
Well, I have that same working principle, and to be honest, I find it much more appealing than trying to cover everything, as they say, and trying to please every single client and taking on orders that could be done by beginner modelers or those who specialize in a completely different theme. So basically, of course, it's the most ideal scenario when you create the necessary showcase for your products yourself, and you thereby attract potential clients who are specifically interested in that theme, in your style, and in your presentation. I truly believe it is basically the perfect solution for anyone starting to sell on various online marketplaces.
What online digital marketplaces do we have that actually generate a steady stream of revenue? where we list and sell our 3D models and make money. There are surprisingly few of them available, actually.
I can't discuss in detail every single one of them, without exception right now. I can only talk about the specific marketplaces I've personally collaborated with, where I have first-hand direct professional experience, sales experience and work experience. I actually started, as cliche as it sounds, on the Etsy marketplace, which is specifically designed and intended exclusively for selling physical goods. Although there is a digital category there, and in that digital category, I somehow developed the creative concept to sell 3D models of jewelry. There was no one in that category, in that niche. There were a collection of various 3D bas-reliefs, decorative wall icons intended for CNC milling and manufacturing. Well, it was something quite similar to that. And I thought, well, I'll try jewelry, why not?
In fact, you're frequently seen as a pioneer, by the way, because you also made an effort to promote and showcase jewelry on Patreon.
I'm still promoting it for 3 or 4 years now, but that's probably a whole topic for a separate podcast, for a separate recording. I think there'll be a great deal more to talk about there too. But if we're talking specifically about the specific way that everything first began for me, it was the Etsy marketplace, it was 3D jewelry models, and that's exactly where I got my very first direct professional clients for 3D jewelry modeling.
To begin, let's say right away, why it is not advisable to list and sell 3D models on Etsy. Go on, advice from the pros.
Now, at this particular stage, let me explain why it's not really advisable for me as a designer who has already managed to achieve a certain significant level of popularity. You see, my main clients, who represent the absolute core consumer base for my product, are actually the independent jewelry sellers on Etsy.
We create unnecessary competition and unnecessary, so to speak, conflict of interest by selling our 3D models where our clients
Backfiring.
sell products that they make from our models, yeah.
That's right. So now it's no longer relevant, but once it all had to start somewhere.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's be direct and honest. The only marketplace that actually really consistently generates sales these days is CGTrader.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, so if you want to earn more or less decent money, comparable to your salary, let's say, then it has to be CGTrader. I mean, there are second and third tier marketplaces, but that, let's say, would just be for what? I don't know, pocket money. Right. On CGTrader, people earn serious money. This platform is the main one, the most important. At the same time, it wasn't the first. Interestingly, it's not an American one. I mean, there's TurboSquid, there's 3D export, platforms that appeared much earlier. But I think their story is pretty much the same as with Fiverr and Upwork. These are somewhat, well, outdated platforms that have lost their creative energy. And so right now, CGTrader still remains. It has certainly had its own problems in recent years too, and we will talk about that as well. But really, it is the most serious and professional platform where you can effectively promote your brand, sell your 3D models, and earn a steady income.
I absolutely agree with you, yeah.
I also want to briefly mention that there is another popular platform called Colts, or Colts 3D, which is a well-known French one. Basically, the guys there are doing okay, they're trying to do something. I would put it in second place, yeah, probably.
At one point, I actually had some pretty good sales there, I'll tell you honestly, especially since it was my second, probably third or fourth month of work, but there is potential there. But because I pushed it a bit to the back burner, I don't work on it, I'm not publishing anything yet, but overall there's decent sales potential there. Well, you have to work on everything, you need to approach every task purposefully. You need to do the work methodically every day, just forgetting about everything, disconnecting from clients, from external factors that...
It's a full-time job, absolutely.
It's quite literally a full-time job. It's like sometimes, to put it quite simply and briefly, yeah, there were moments when I'd flat out refuse to take any more orders. I'd just sit down and I'd have a plan for a whole month, like in a week I need to make this many new models for one platform, for a second, for a third, and I'd write everything out clearly for myself. I have to sit down in the morning, and by evening I have to make 2 or 3 models that I'll be publishing, because if I don't do that, I'll drop in the rankings.
I saw it. I saw that notebook with models scheduled literally by the day, with the ones that were already finished crossed out, so it really is systematic work. I'd like to delve deeper into the essential topic of proper listing design, because in my professional opinion, I consider this to be one of the most crucial and foundational aspects that many people frequently neglect. Based on the experience of the JewelModel.net marketplace, I've noticed that many designers are too lazy to spend a little time and properly set up a listing, like writing a description, but you'll tell us more about that in a bit. And you shouldn't expect to have big sales if you've done a, let's say, sloppy job on the listing, setting it up. I'm very, shall we say, concerned about this because we're launching a marketplace for jewelry 3D models where I'd like designers to have earnings so they can sell. And that's why I'd like us to talk here about how to do it right so that your listing, so to speak, makes you money instead of just sitting there as dead weight.
I would say that I definitely completely agree with you 200% for the reason that I actually started my online sales and retail activity even before Etsy. Before Etsy, there was Alibaba.
Oh, wow, see?
Exactly, Alibaba. It's not AliExpress, but the massive and incredibly expansive Chinese marketplace Alibaba, where I took some specialized courses for like several hundreds of hard-earned dollars. So I went through comprehensive and detailed full training on how sales work in general, what the specific sales technologies are, what the listing design technologies are, and the correct way to set up listings. That is, specifically the intricate work that, let's say, isn't visible to the naked eye, but it's clearly seen and felt by the complex algorithms of search engine robots. This means Google robots or robots from, I don't know, Yahoo back then. Well, all those search robots that provide you with information based on your specific search queries, they work according to a specific scheme. That is, they need to see one thing, then another, and a third. And in a specific sequence too. If that doesn't happen, then yeah, they won't find it, meaning they won't be able to show your product to a potential buyer. So after I had learned those valuable lessons over there, I took that entire experience and projected it onto Etsy. Then, after gaining quite a bit more experience on Etsy, I projected that experience onto CGTrader, onto Cults 3D, and onto virtually all of the different online platforms where I might be involved somehow. Recently, by the way, I also successfully registered myself on the new marketplace.
My Mini Factory.
My Mini Factory, yeah. So I registered there, set some things up. They actually have an interesting system there, by the way. You will be required to pay a monthly subscription fee to use the marketplace. I mean, specifically, if you want to sell there, you pay something like, I don't remember, $10 or $15 every month. Speaking of proper listing setup, which, by the way, Sergey just mentioned regarding the JewelModel site, I noticed that there's an AI there that helps with setting up listings. For me personally, as someone who did all of this work by hand for a long time, I write hashtags, I create a text document where I write the title, I write the description, I write hashtags, I write the whole description, well, everything related, all the necessary components. I set the keyword relevance. So all those specific points, I did every single one of them manually.
It's fine-tuning, yes.
It's really tough. It's these screenshots, it's these descriptions. Whereas now on JewelModel, there's an option to simply upload your own screenshots where like the specific model dimensions are, or some other important input data, which you just upload as screenshots, and the AI carefully analyzes them, processes them, and gives you a clearly filled out listing with a comprehensive description that matches what it read on the screenshots. So, for me personally, this is just a fantastic and helpful feature.
Actually, let me tell you a bit more about it, since the whole concept of this idea was originally mine. The implementation too, and I really want to say that I carefully configured this bot so that it would create descriptions correctly, right? So that it would work just like a professional SEO specialist. What's the term I'm looking for? SEO, like a professional SEO specialist, right? So that all the titles and so on. I gave it a task. I told it that you should describe specifically the visual features of the product. Not just get away with some general phrases. I told it what hashtags should be there. They should be like 2 or 3 part 1s and so on. So it's finely tuned. It's Google, no secrets here. It's Google Flash. Google Gemini Flash 3.0, so it's a fairly advanced model that parses your images very well, and it saves an extraordinary amount of valuable time. You simply need to go ahead and upload high-quality, crystal clear, and detailed screenshots with dimensions, stones, and, what else might be required. with weight, for example, right, when you are creating a new listing. Google parses all of that and creates a description quite qualitatively and professionally. At the same time, you still, well, for example, Dima is quite demanding about the design of his listings, and for him, there's always the option to manually edit something himself. And basically, whoever doesn't want to use it doesn't have to, you can fill out listings manually, right? But I mean, you can, if you didn't like the title, right, that it came up with, you can edit it, hashtags, everything is absolutely editable. But a huge amount of work is already done. Your time is saved, so to speak. And I'll say from my own experience that I was just amazed when I started testing. I also upload my models to JewelModel.net, and I was amazed at how fast it happens, how, well, little time is required to publish a listing. There are a few more things I'd like to say about popular online marketplaces like CGTrader, Cults, and so on, and also sites like 3Dexport and My Mini Factory. These are cool, great, well, especially I always praise CGTrader because really we all started earning serious money on CGTrader, specifically in selling models. What is the main disadvantage for a jewelry designer on CGTrader? The fact that CGTrader is a general marketplace. It's an incredible marketplace, but it's a marketplace for game development, for printing miniature figurines or something similar, right? What else? Well, it features absolutely all kinds of 3D models that could possibly exist. And when you, as a professional jeweler, develop a detailed product listing, you're obligated and compelled to make sure your listing meets those specific standards and requirements that are completely and utterly irrelevant for jewelry. I mean, there are file formats that aren't even used in 3D printing, but you have to include them in the listing just to boost your model's rating, right? Some on TurboSquid are a total nightmare. You just had to provide a wireframe screenshot, a mesh, and so on, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, those are pretty outdated approaches now.
That is exactly right, and those pain points are what motivated me to create a marketplace dedicated exclusively to jewelers and jewelry designers. So, here you only need 3D printable models like STL, OBJ, and you can add a 3DM file if you would like to include one. No meshes are required here, nothing like that basically, no unnecessary clutter. And this marketplace is truly tailored for jewelry, so even when a buyer visits, they don't get lost in a sea of models they don't need, right? So they come in, and sooner or later, this builds a loyal audience of people who know that, hey, I'm a jeweler, this is a jewelry marketplace, I come here, and I don't even bother with those general fairs full of everything imaginable. Or maybe you mean those models with, oh, what do you call it, those intricately painted models. You know, the ones like, I'm trying to think of the word, what is the actual term for that specific surface finish or the texture thing on them?
Textures?
Texturing, right? And all that other stuff that's completely irrelevant to jewelry, you know, we just don't need it in our business. And so none of that is required on JewelModel.net, right? You only need what's necessary. Everything is geared toward jewelers. And so because of that, well, and of course with huge giants like CGTrader, it's much harder to get tech support or any attention for the seller and their issues. Yeah, I mean, we often try to get some professional help or technical support from their internal tech team, for example, specifically regarding the theft of our 3D models. Because so many different people on CGTrader buy your original model for, I don't know, maybe $10 or $20, and then they immediately turn around and resell it in various markets in Brazil, India, or even on Facebook for just $2 or $3.
CGTrader?
Or even on CGTrader itself. And you have to fight all of that, and Dima here has a lot of experience dealing with these things. So I think you have quite a lot to share about it.
Well, there isn't that much to say, really, but I've certainly dealt with model theft on numerous occasions. I'd even say, well, not exactly theft, I'm not sure what the right term is, but let's say when someone buys a model from you and then resells it somewhere else, like in Telegram groups, Facebook groups, or maybe on other platforms or social networks, and from time to time, more specifically on the platforms where my models are listed, you know, I keep a close eye on them using the main keywords, as you might expect, the specific keywords I know for my models. And so I check to see who's selling my models there, and I often find them, so I have to file a formal complaint. Then those listings get removed, though sometimes it drags on for quite a long while. I mean, I've even had cases where I found someone in a Facebook group selling my models, along with a bunch of other designers' work that I recognize from CGTrader. And so he was just selling them as a whole bundle for, I don't know, something like $500. Yeah. There were about 100 models in there, roughly speaking, all bundled together. I mean, like...
And each of those individual models there could have been priced at exactly $50.
Yeah. And anyway, I messaged him as a potential buyer. I wrote to him saying, dude, I really want to buy from you. So he's on PayPal. I said, yeah, okay, fine, give it to me. He gave me his PayPal address. I took that address, basically, wrote I have a business account on PayPal. I wrote to support this and that. I said, I'm a model seller and there's this person making completely unauthorized sales. Most likely this, well, account isn't business related. Well, anyway, I wrote a big complaint like that. And for quite an extended period of time, there was some kind of extensive investigation going on from PayPal's side. But then they eventually wrote to me that the account was either blocked or frozen. Well, it was something along those lines. Well, anyway, they finally sent a reply that, well, overall, that was definitely the most difficult and stressful job I've ever had related to this.
I was also involved in that operation, as you asked. I tried to catch him there too. I was messaging him and all.
Yeah.
It was a whole special operation.
Those were some guys from Cuba, from Latin.
I just want to explain what the problem is. Let's just explain what the problem is. I don't know, we're probably being watched by 3D designers, so maybe they don't need this explained. But just in case, let's explain that a 3D model, a digital product, isn't like potatoes. And many people out there, they don't understand what a digital product is. I mean, when you buy potatoes in bulk and then resell them one by one around the corner, like Rockefeller sold apples, right? You can certainly do that, and you can make a profit from it, obviously. But when you buy a digital product, you are buying a license for intellectual property. It simply cannot be resold to others. And this is clearly stated in the official CGTrader rules. And it is also exactly what is written in our own user agreement on JewelModel.net. So our sellers are also protected, well, at least by this public contract. Of course, we will fight very hard against such so-called buyers, in quotes, who attempt to resell these models, and we will ban them from the platform, and basically that is that.
Well, I think in today's reality, it's only possible to fight this within each individual platform. I've encountered this on Cults 3D and on CGTrader and somewhere on Facebook, but specifically within each platform.
Well, unfortunately, it is practically like using a heavy sledgehammer to crack a tiny nut, so it is actually very difficult.
Well, what can you do?
There are specific groups on Telegram for reselling models.
Yeah, and forget about reselling. They even post them up for free.
And post them online for free. Well, what can you really do? Another very relevant topic today. A lot of people are talking about it. There's no escaping it now. Progress is moving forward. It has come to every one of us. When considering neural networks, do you ever wonder, well, will neural networks eventually take away the jobs of professional 3D modelers?
Well, let's say, if we were to take a very close and detailed look at those jewelry, no, not just jewelry, but specifically those advanced AI services that professional three-dimensional designers related to jewelry can use, then such services probably simply do not exist in any practical sense or principle at this current time.
Not yet.
Yeah, but there are specialized online services in general that provide the ability to generate intricate bas-reliefs, generate detailed alpha maps and height maps, and even generate some, well, complex 3D model shapes from simple images. But that's more, I think, for specific artistic workflows.
Well, it's a tool in the hands of an expert.
In general, yes.
So we're saying it is not inherently evil. It's a tool that needs to be utilized in the proper manner. Because what exactly is the main problem on CGTrader at this very moment? The fact that it's flooded with models that are fully generated.
It's an influx of generated content.
Yes.
And I'm not against artificially generated models, though I'm against poorly constructed models.
Yes.
Which, as a general rule, from everything I've seen lately, I actually have this routine every single Monday morning. It's a brand new week, right? And it always starts with me going in just to see exactly what's new there.
What else have they cluttered CGTrader with?
Yeah. And I just scroll through several pages of models that are generated, but they are generated so poorly, so not... Well, it's just a generic generated product that I see there. You can't even relate it to actual jewelry at all. Well, these are completely incomparable things that just don't match up.
So let's think about what exactly is it that we want to say here. Neural networks aren't inherently evil. Neural networks.
Absolutely.
Neural networks will empower us all. They will help us all. It's an assistant in the right hands. That is, we use neural networks. No one's going to hide it. We know how to sculpt. We work in ZBrush. And before neural networks, we could sculpt. Yeah. No, if a neural network helps you quickly solve some tasks, right? Speed up the process a bit and so on. Yeah, and you have less work left, why not use it? But there still must be essential human effort, direct input and physical labor involved. I mean, you really can't just post some unpolished and unfinished model like that. You still have to put in the work to refine it. So we use it as an assistant, but not as the solution itself, like that.
And by the way, there are a wide variety of not just low-grade generated models, but a lot of what I'd call fraudulent schemes. Here's exactly what it looks like.
Yes.
First, some generated...
A generated render first.
Well, some generated render of some, I don't know, virtual piece of jewelry.
Which looks absolutely fantastic, yeah.
Incredibly fantastic. Everything is covered in gray stones there. It is just
Complex setting all over.
super, super bling, yeah. And in the end, well, you see something like that, it really catches your eye and you want to check out this model, right? And I click on it, but in reality, there isn't a single stone. It's some crooked, warped surface that was just generated by, well, some generator, I don't know, of very crooked models, and they're still trying to sell this low-grade product.
Yes.
Absolutely nobody will ever buy it, but it just takes up valuable space on the platform. It takes up space on the servers. It takes up space among normal sellers who want to present their goods with quality, who want to, well, work with true professionals. What saddens me most, so to speak, in this particular situation is that this overwhelming abundance of poorly generated, low-grade models will inevitably drive away our potential clients in the long run. Yes, it is very true. And, well, it will also discourage the loyal and dedicated supporters of truly high-quality fine jewelry who value the craft.
They might lose trust. They might just stop trusting.
Of course. They'll have, it's like, you know, when I talk to clients from the US or from Germany, I say, let's chat on Telegram. They're like, well, oh, Telegram, that's a scam. It's some kind of dam.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, they already have this, well, deep-seated stigma about it that there's nothing for us there. It's just deception and some kind of strange, I don't know how to put it, you know?
That is true. It is exactly the same. Once you lose your reputation,
the exact same thing can happen with major platforms that used to work directly with professionals. But now the platform is just cluttered with all of this low-effort AI garbage, which is low quality, and it completely clogs up the whole feed. It clogs up the entire user feed and makes it unusable. It's honestly quite frustrating to see.
And they sell them there for a few pennies, right?
Yeah, to be honest, even if they gave it away for free, it's simply...
I'd just like to move smoothly to the next topic. This is something that maybe should have come up a little bit earlier in our conversation, but let's touch on it anyway, especially since we completely forgot to mention it before. Let's talk about pricing. I recently saw a situation with a new seller of mine, a talented designer over on JewelModel.net, and I noticed that some of her models were listed for only $3. I explained the situation to her, and I actually wrote her a detailed email saying, look, here is the thing about how you should value your work. I won't make any money here. First of all, no one will make money here because the transactions and other services and everything else actually cost more than those $3. That really should go without saying. But I sat her down and explained a very simple thing to her. Don't try to clutter everything up. I told her to spend less time filling up the entire platform with all of these cheap models. The reality is that absolutely no one is going to buy them. No one at all. People just don't buy models these days simply because they are cheap, like for €5 or even €3. Nowadays, you can only really sell something because it's a truly great model. Yes, you can certainly compete on price, but if you're like, I'll just slap something together and sell it cheap, that simply doesn't work anymore. You have to produce really cool models. And I explained the same thing to her, and she's capable. I know her, she's our employee from the Kharkiv studio, and now apparently with few orders, she decided to go into sales. And I explained to her that you're better off investing a bit more time, making a more high-end model, setting a higher price, and that will make more sense.
Yes, I completely agree, as 100%.
So I know for sure that you are a very strong proponent of this theory, and I know for sure that you...
Truly beautiful things shouldn't be sold at such a low price. Yes, it's better to try and do it with the highest possible quality, and then you can ask for a fair price.
They'll buy it?
Absolutely, of course. They always buy them, though. I mean, if you put your soul into it, if you tried hard, if you made something, well, fundamentally speaking and quite correctly, if it is a technically sound solution, if it is a truly beautiful artistic model, yes. If it carries some deep meaning, if it carries some genuine interest, then it will undoubtedly sell.
Is there a demand for good models? Right? Absolutely, 100%. So are people looking?
Listen, I can even say from my own experience, I've had models that I made specifically for sale. I made them specifically for sale, and there were models I spent a week on. So it's quite, well, painstaking and long work. I spent about 6 full working days on creating and refining one model, but they have definitely paid for themselves. And
they still are.
Well, gradually, yes.
That's what's also a very strong point, right? Selling models on stock sites, right? Is that the model keeps working for you constantly.
Yeah.
A model has a certain lifespan. I have models that used to be incredibly popular and sell quite well, but now they've completely ceased to generate any sales, for example, right? But still, it's a very long tail for a model. It's not like, how many times have we discussed this when you model to order, right? You take the money for that order now, you've fully earned that specific amount, and you won't earn anything more from that model. That money, you essentially just traded your valuable time for some amount of money, and that's it. And both your time, your life, and the money, they'll just be spent, and that's it. When you sell a model on stock sites, if it's a great model, if you keep promoting it, ideally posting on various social networks, on Pinterest, by the way, we should probably talk about that too. Well, how should I put it? Promoting your listings on social media is also work. So for a model, it's called a long tail, right? Meaning it brings you income for a long time. You publish many models and they sell for a long, long time. I mean, I have models really that, well, let's just say you could buy a car for what that model brought in. But if I had made that model to order for someone, for instance, just some person, well, how much would it be?
Bought a stick of salami.
Well, $200. A good model costs about $200, but now it's actually already brought me thousands and thousands of dollars in return. So think about it.